The rain hammered the grimy windows of O'Malley's dive like fists on a coffin lid, drowning out the city's roar. But inside, the air crackled with a silence sharper than shattered glass. Jax Harlan, the Silver Spoon heir to a Wall Street empire, locked eyes with Riley Kane across the scarred oak bar. His smirk a predator's promise tonight. He'd claim his twisted prize. Little did he know, the tomboy pouring his whiskey wasn't hiding from desire. She was guarding a fire that would burn his world to ash. Riley's hands trembled just enough to slosh the bourbon as she slid the glass toward him, the ice clinking like a warning bell. At 28, she'd built walls higher than the Manhattan skyline cropped hair, calloused palms from slinging drinks and dodging dreams. Her green eyes a storm no one dared weather. But Jax, 32 and armored in bespoke suits and inherited arrogance, saw only the challenge. The rumors whispered in high society lounges. The bet he'd placed in a haze of scotch and boredom. Bet you 10 grand she's a dyke. He'd boasted to his cronies, their laughter echoing like thunder. Prove it. They dared. And so here he was. Not for love, but for the thrill of the con seduce the untouchable. Expose the truth. And walk away richer in ego, if not wallet. She wiped the bar with a rag that had seen better days. Her voice gravel rough from late nights and unspoken aches. That'll be $12. Handsome. Cash or card. No flirt. No flicker, just the steady gaze of someone who'd learned early that vulnerability was a luxury for the rich. Jax leaned in, his cologne cutting through the stale beer haze like a blade, and flashed the grin that had closed billion-dollar deals. Make it a double, Riley. And hey, ever think about trading shifts for something real? A girl like you, slinging drinks in this dump-wasted talent. His words dripped honey over venom, probing for the crack in her armor, the admission that would seal his win. Riley's laugh was a bark, short and sharp, echoing off the neon open sign that buzzed like a dying insect. She'd heard it all, the assumptions, the leers, the pitying glances from patrons who saw her baggy flannels and steel-toed boots and pegged her for the villain in their straight-laced fairy tales. But beneath the tomboy facade, 28 years of buried longing stirred, a secret she'd locked away since that summer in rural Ohio, when first love bloomed forbidden and withered under judgmental stares. Jax didn't see the woman. He saw a puzzle to dismantle, and as the bar emptied, leaving them alone under the flicker of a faulty bulb, he upped the ante. Tell you what, he murmured, sliding a crisp 100 across the wood. Close up early. Let me show you a night worth remembering. No strings, just you, me, and the truth about what you really want. Her pulse thrummed in her ears, louder than the downpour outside, as she pocketed the bill without breaking eye contact. Truth. If only he knew the half of it nights she'd lain awake, heart-fracturing over a ghost named Sarah, the girl who'd vanished after one stolen kiss under a harvest moon. Riley had fled to New York, reinventing herself as the unbreakable barkeep. But Jax's gaze ignited something reckless, a spark of curiosity laced with danger. All right, Playboy, she said, tossing the rag aside and grabbing her leather jacket from the hook. But if this is your idea of charm, you're buying the regret with that 100. They stepped into the storm together, the city swallowing them whole, unaware that his game was unraveling the very threads of her guarded soul. The cab ride blurred the skyline into streaks of light, Jax's thigh brushing hers in the cramped back seat, sending unwelcome jolts through her like live wires. He talked easy yachts in the Hamptons, boardroom battles won with a wink painting a world of velvet ropes and endless champagne. Riley listened, half mesmerized, half wary, her fingers twisting the hem of her jeans. At 32, Jax had conquered empires. But intimacy, that was a battlefield he'd avoided, his heart a vault sealed after a fiancé's betrayal 5 years back, leaving him to wield charm like a weapon. Tonight, though, It felt different. Riley's quiet strength pulled at him, challenging the bet's cruel script. "You're not like the others," he said softly, the words slipping out unbidden as the cab jerked to a halt outside his penthouse tower. "Fierce. Real. Makes a man want to earn it." She followed him into the marble lobby, elevators whispering them skyward, the city sprawling below like a glittering trap. Doubt nodded her. Why say yes to this stranger, this storm in a suit? But isolation had carved hollows in her chest, and for a fleeting moment, she craved the burn of connection, even if it scorched. The doors opened to his domain, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Hudson's dark churn. Minimalist furniture in shades of steel and shadow. Jax poured scotch neat, handing her a glass with fingers that lingered. "To truths," he toasted, clinking rims, his eyes searching hers for the telltale flinch, the confession that would validate his wager. Riley sipped, the liquor warming paths down her throat, loosening the knots she'd tied around her heart. "Truths. Huh. Like how a millionaire ends up slumming it in my bar on a Tuesday." She perched on the edge of a leather sofa, boots scuffing the rug, her posture all defiance masking the flutter in her chest. He sat beside her, close enough for heat to bridge the gap, and launched into the tale framed as jest. Of course the bet, with his Ivy League pack. The assumption born of her obvious vibe. "They think you're, you know, into women." I said I'd prove them wrong. "But Riley, looking at you now, maybe they're blind, and I'm the lucky bastard who gets to find out." The room tilted, her glass halfway to her lips, as betrayal's bitter taste flooded her mouth, not from the words, but the casual cruelty laced within. She'd been a punchline, a trophy in their privileged game, her life reduced to a stereotype for their amusement. Yet anger warred with an inexplicable pull. Jax's vulnerability cracked through, his laugh self-deprecating, eyes holding a plea she couldn't name. "You son of a bitch," she whispered, setting the glass down with deliberate calm, but her voice cracked on the edge of tears. "You think you can waltz in, dangle your world like bait, and I'll just, what? Fall into your arms to save your ego." Jax's face fell, the mask slipping, revealing the boy beneath the tycoon. Scared, sorry, suddenly desperate. "Riley, wait, it's not like that. I came in cocky. Yeah, but you. God, from the first look, it's real. The bet's bullshit. Forget it. Stay. Let me show you." He reached for her hand, and against every screaming instinct, she didn't pull away. The rain lashed the glass like accusations, but in that suspended breath, she leaned in, their lips meeting in a clash of fire and forgiveness, tentative, then consuming. His kiss was hunger wrapped in apology, her response a surrender laced with power, bodies pressing as if to rewrite the script. They tumbled into the moment, clothes shedding like old skins, the penthouse fading to echoes of gasps and whispers. Riley's hands mapped the planes of his chest, calluses tracing scars she hadn't expected, a faded line from a childhood fall, a constellation of freckles across his shoulders. Jax marveled at her, the strength in her limbs, the way she arched under his touch, fierce and unyielding. For him, it was revelation, desire unbound from games, raw and reciprocal. For her, it was a dam breaking, years of suppressed yearning flooding free, not for the ghost of Sarah, but for this man who saw her, truly, in the dim glow of city lights. Dawn crept in like a thief, painting their tangled sheets in gold, but peace shattered with his phone's insistent buzz. Riley stirred, reaching for the device on the nightstand, her eyes widening at the group chat notification. Harlan wins. Tomboys straight pay up. Losers. Screenshots of their night, snapped slyly from afar. No worse. His own words, typed in drunken bravado hours before. Betrayal knifed through her, hot and precise, as Jax bolted awake, horror etching his features. Riley. No, delete it. I swear. That was before. She was already dressing. Boots thudding against the floor like heartbeats in retreat. Tears carving tracks down her cheeks. Before what? Before you decided I was worth the lie. You exposed me. Jax, not just to your friends, but to myself. I thought. Fuck. I thought it was real. The door slammed behind her. Elevator cables humming her descent into the waking city, leaving him adrift in the ruins of his own making. But as she hit the street, coffee steam curling from a corner vendor's cart, a resolve hardened in her cornot defeat, but defiance. The truth he'd unearthed wasn't her straightness. It was her capacity for love, unapologetic and vast, and she wouldn't let his cruelty dim its light. Weeks blurred into a haze of shifts and solitude. Riley pouring drinks with mechanical precision, her laugh a ghost haunting the bar's corners. O'Malley's became her confessional. Patrons unwitting priests to her unraveling tale whispered to a dragged queen regular named Lena, who squeezed her hand and cooed. Honey, that's not a game. That's a goddamn grenade. But you're the spark that lights it. News of Jax's humiliation spread through tabloid whispers. Harlan Ayre's bet backfires. Socialite circles buzzing with schadenfreude. He tried reaching her, flowers wilting on the bar. Voicemails thick with regret but pride. Hers and his. Built fortresses neither could breach. Yet fate, that capricious puppeteer, tugged strings anew one stormy Friday. The door swung open, admitting not Jax, but Elena, his estranged sister, 25 and fierce, with raven hair cascading over a power suit. Her brown eyes mirrors of his, but softened by empathy. Riley Kane. I'm not here to beg for him. I'm here because he broke something in you and me. Long before. Over cheap whiskey. Elena spilled the family fractures, their father's iron rule. Jax's rebellion masked as conquests. The bet a desperate echo of his own hidden wounds. He's not cruel by nature, she said, voice cracking. He's terrified. Of loving wrong. Of losing control. But you make him want to try. Riley's walls trembled. Elena's hand warm on hers. A spark not of romance, but solidarity to women navigating the same jagged edges of expectation. It stirred memories of Sarah. That first love lost to small-town scorn. But also hope. Queerness wasn't a label to fear, but a spectrum she owned. Tell him, Riley murmured finally, that truths aren't bets. They're bridges. If he wants to cross, he builds it himself. Elena nodded, slipping away into the night, leaving Riley with a napkin-scribbled number and a heart cracked open to possibility. Jax arrived at dawn's edge, drenched from the sprint across town. His suit rumpled, eyes hollowed by sleepless vigil. No grand gestures this time, just him, raw and reaching, kneeling on the bar's threshold as she unlocked for the day. I was wrong every assumption, every play. I thought I knew you, but you showed me, the coward hiding behind games. Riley, I love you not for winning, but for breaking me open. His voice broke. Hands outstretched. No wallet. No wager. Just the man stripped bare. She crossed the threshold, rain mingling with tears on her face, pulling him up into an embrace that spanned lifetimes. Love isn't a truth to expose, she whispered against his lips. It's one we build, brick by brutal brick. They kissed under the eaves, thunder rumbling approval, the city awakening to their redemption. A millionaire humbled, a tomboy unbound. Their story no longer a cruel jest, but a testament to love's unyielding grace. But truths, once unearthed, demand reckoning. As months wove them tighter, lazy Sundays in her cramped walk-up, his penthouse echoing with her laughter, shadows lingered. Jax's circle turned venomous. Whispers of gold digger and fays slithering through galas, testing their fragile peace. Riley faced her own ghosts, a letter from Sarah, Forwarded from Ohio. Words of forgiveness and finality that mended old scars but stirred fresh doubts. Am I enough? She confessed one night, curled against him on silk sheets. Vulnerability, her sharpest weapon. He traced her jaw, voice steady as steel. You're everything. The bet was my blindness. But you're the light that exposed it. Together, they confronted the world, a public apology from Jax at a charity ball. His speech a raw mea culpa to the LGBTQ+ community he'd unwittingly mocked. Funds pledged to shelters for queer youth. Riley stood beside him, hand in his, her tomboy strength a beacon. Drawing allies from the shadows. Lena, the drag queen, emceeing their first joint fundraiser. Elena toasting their resilience. Yet drama crested in a storm neither foresaw, a leaked recording of the original bet, twisted by a vengeful ex-friend into tabloid fodder, branding Jax the villain anew. Protests outside his office. Sponsors fleeing. Riley's bar mobbed by reporters hungry for her side. She shielded him in the chaos. Their love a fortress amid the fray. But doubt Claude could they weather this? Or would his past's poison seep through? In the eye of it, atop his rooftop under star-pricked skies, she challenged him. Prove it, Jax. Not with words or checks, with us. He did, divesting shares to fund advocacy, stepping back from the empire that bred his cruelty, choosing her over legacy. Their romance deepened, laced with passion's fire nights of tangled limbs and whispered vows. Days of building something real, a foundation for queer stories untold. A bar reimagined as a safe haven. The unbelievable truth. Not her orientation, assumed and wrong, but love's alchemy turning a millionaire's game into a legacy of healing. Years later, on a crisp autumn eve mirroring that fateful rain, they stood before a crowd at the rechristened Kane Harlan Center. Hands clasped, rings glinting like promises kept. Riley, 33 now, hair still cropped, but softened by joy, spoke first. We thought we knew each other's truths, labels, bets, fears. But love, it's the revelation that sets us free. Jax, 37 and wiser, eyes shining with hers, added, I gambled on a lie and won the greatest truth, you. The applause rose like a wave, washing away old wounds. Their story a beacon kaleidoscopic, human, eternal. In each other's arms, they found not just romance, but redemption, proof that from cruelty's ashes, the most meaningful flames endure. The center's dedication ribbon fluttered in the breeze, a silk banner emblazoned with their intertwined names. But as the cheers faded, Riley felt the familiar pull, a quiet ache beneath the triumph. Jax sensed it, his thumb brushing her knuckles in that wordless way that had become their language. Walk with me, he murmured, and she nodded, slipping away from the throng toward the Hudson's edge, where willows dipped like conspirators into the water. New York thrummed around them, a symphony of horns and heartbeats. But here, in this sliver of green amid concrete, they could breathe. It had been 2 years since the scandal's peak. The leaked audio, a Molotov cocktail that ignited boycotts and boardroom coups. Jax had lost half his fortune, not in dollars, but in the illusions of invincibility he'd clung to. Sold off assets, faced down his father's spectral disapproval from a mahogany desk in Connecticut, emerged not broken but reborn. Riley had shouldered her share, the bar's windows shattered by hurled bricks one hate-fueled night. Her face splashed across headlines as the bartender who tamed the tycoon. But through it, their bond forged stronger, tempered in trials that stripped pretense bare. Tell me what's haunting you, he said, settling on a weathered bench, pulling her close. His arm around her waist was anchor and spark, a reminder of stolen mornings when she'd wake to his coffee and crooked smile. At 33, Riley's edges had softened, not dulled, but honed, her tattoos blooming with new ink, a phoenix on her collarbone, inked during rehab for the anxiety that had clawed post-exposure. It's Sarah, she admitted, voice low as the lapping waves. Her letter. It closed a door. But now, with all this, she gestured to the center. Its lights winking like distant stars. I wonder if I'm honoring the parts of me she first woke. Jax's jaw tightened. Not with jealousy, but understanding the man who'd once weaponized assumptions now cradled her complexities. You are. Every brick here is for the Rileys hiding in plain sight. The Sarahs silenced by fear. And me. I'm just the lucky fool who gets to love all of you. His kiss was gentle, sealing the words. But as they rose to rejoin the party, a shadow detached from the crowd, a woman, mid-30s, with sun-kissed curls and eyes like faded denim, approaching with hesitant grace. Sarah. Riley's breath caught, the world narrowing to this apparition from Ohio fields. Sarah Hale, once her 17-year-old wildfire, now a journalist with laugh lines etching her resolve, extended a hand. I saw the news. Had to come. You've built something beautiful from the pain we couldn't outrun. No recriminations, just quiet awe. And in that exchange, words tumbling over shared cider by the river-old wounds cauterized. Sarah had married, divorced, found her path in advocacy. Riley listened, heart full, realizing closure wasn't erasure but expansion. Jax watched from afar, pride swelling, his own healing mirrored in her peace. But peace, in their world, was fleeting. Back at the penthouse now theirs, cluttered with her vinyl collection and his abstract art, Jax's phone lit with a call from Elena. Brother, father's dying. And he wants you. The words landed like frost, their afterglow chilling to dread. Edward Harlan, titan of finance, architect of Jax's armored heart, lay in a sterile suite upstate. Machines beeping dirges. They drove through the night, Riley's hand steady on his knee, the highway a ribbon of resolve unwinding. The hospital smelled of antiseptic and regret, corridors echoing with muffled sobs. Edward, shrunken to bones and bitterness, fixed roomy eyes on his son. You threw it away for her. A bartender's whim. His rasp cut deep, dredging the bet's ghost. The assumptions that birthed their union. Jax stood tall, Riley's presence a silent bulwark. No, Dad. I found it for me. Love isn't a ledger. It's the only balance that matters. Edward's laugh wheezed, turning to coughs. But in his final exhale, a flicker of regret, perhaps, or release. As they left, Jax collapsed against her in the parking lot, sobs racking him. He never said it. Not once. Riley held him through the dawn, whispering, You don't need his words. You've got mine every day, every way. Their grief wove intimacy tighter. A weekend lost to tangled sheets and tear-streaked confessions. Bodies reaffirming what words couldn't touch. Emerging, they channeled it, the center's first program. A grief circle for queer families. Born from Jax's loss. Riley's empathy. Yet drama simmered elsewhere. Lena, the drag queen who'd become family, burst into O'Malley's one shift with fire in her heels. Girl, your man's ex is stirring shit, claiming the center's attacks dodge, dredging up that bet like it's fresh dirt. Victoria Langford, the fiancée who'd bolted 5 years prior, now a socialite influencer with a grudge and 1 million followers, posted cryptic reels when love's just a publicity stunt. The backlash hit like a tidal wave, donations drying. Protesters picketing. Riley's bar vandalized again. Rage boiled in Riley. But Jax tempered it with strategy. His boardroom savvy turned to justice. They confronted Victoria at a rooftop gala. City lights mocking the tension. This isn't about us, Jax said, voice even. It's about silencing voices like Riley Segain. Victoria's facade cracked, mascara streaking as she spat. You chose her over everything. I was safe. She's chaos. Riley stepped forward, not with fists but truth, safe's a cage. Vic. Chaos. That's where we grow wings. The exchange went viral not as scandal, but Redemption Victoria's apology thread a turning point, her platform pivoting to allyship. Through the fray, their romance bloomed defiant, surprise getaways to the Berkshires, where Riley taught him to chop wood, his hands blistered but laughing, quiet nights decoding poetry, her head on his chest, heartbeat sinking like a vow. At 35, Jax found joy in the mundane, her burnt pancakes, his failed guitar serenades, while Riley, 34, discovered advocacy's fire, her voice amplifying trans youth at panels, his support the wind beneath. But the deepest trial loomed unspoken, Riley's body. Whispering Changiza doctors visit confirming what tests had hinted. A pregnancy neither planned nor regretted. Our truth, she said, hand on her still flat belly, eyes wide with wonder and terror. Jax knelt, kissing her skin, tears mingling with joy. Our family messy, miraculous, ours. The news rippled, drawing Elena's squeals, Lena's champagne toast, even Sarah's warm email of congratulations. As winter blanketed the city, they prepared not just for a child, but a legacy. Expanded workshops on inclusive parenting, the center's halls alive with tiny voices. One snow-dusted evening, atop the Empire State, Jax proposed properly, not with fanfare, but a simple band etched with their story's hook, from Bets to Forever. Riley's yes was a laugh through tears, their embrace defying the wind. Their engagement announcement broke gently. A joint post on the center's feed, a candid shot of them in flannel and jeans. Snowflakes caught mid-fall. Caption: Building Truths. One heartbeat at a time. The internet erupted not in vitriol, but love queer icons retweeting. Strangers sharing their own tales of love unearthed from assumption's rubble. Yet beneath the glow, Riley navigated nausea with wry humor. Jax's overprotectiveness earning eye rolls and stolen kisses. You're nesting worse than a sitcom, Dad, she'd tease. But his hand on her bump was reverence. A silent amends for the games that nearly cost them this. Spring unfurled like a promise. The center thriving, art classes for non-binary teens. Therapy pods for elders reclaiming identities long suppressed. Riley, belly rounding, led a session on visibility. Her tomboy swagger undimmed, voice cracking only when a shy 16-year-old mirrored her younger self. I thought I was broken, the kid whispered. Riley knelt, eyes level. Nah, kid. You're electric. On the spark. Jax watched from the doorway, heart swelling, his redemption not in dollars donated, but moments like this, where his privilege amplified her power. But shadows crept, Edward's estate, a labyrinth of lawyers and ledgers. Unearthed clauses tying Jax's inheritance to traditional legacy no same-sex unions. No frivolous charities. The sum, enough to sustain the center for decades, but at the cost of silence on their story. Temptation gnawed security for their unborn child, but Jax burned the papers in the penthouse hearth, ashes scattering like absolved sins. We build our own, he told Riley, her nod fierce. Their lovemaking that night a defiant celebration. Bodies entwined in the firelight's dance. Elena's wedding invitation arrived like a bomb destination affair in Tuscany. Her to a gallery owner named Marco, a soft-spoken Italian with eyes like aged wine. They jetted over, Riley waddling charmingly at 7 months, Jax's arm ever present. The vineyard ceremony was poetry, vows exchanged under olive boughs. Laughter echoing as Lena performed a lip-sync to At Last, her sequins rivaling the sunset. But midway, a call from New York, vandals had struck the center again. Murals defaced with slurs. A direct hit at their heart. Grief hit Jax like vertigo. But Riley, ever the anchor, rallied from afar. Fly back, she urged. But he refused, delegating to allies while they danced under stars, her bump pressing against him like a talisman. This is our fight, she said. But tonight, we're winning by living. The incident, investigated, traced to a fringe group tied to Victoria's old circle ironic justice when her new advocacy exposed them, turning poison to progress. Labor came early, a summer squall mirroring their first storm. In the delivery room, Jax held her hand through contractions vice, whispering encouragements laced with awe. You're a warrior, he breathed, as their daughter emerged tiny, fierce, with Riley's green eyes and a tuft of his brown hair. They named her Harper, for the stories they'd tell her, of bets lost, truths won, love's unyielding arc. Hospital nights blurred into homecoming haze. The penthouse, transformed crib by the window. Lullabies hummed off-key. Parenthood cracked them open anew, sleepless feeds where Riley confessed postpartum shadows. Jax pacing floors with Harper swaddled, vowing to break cycles of emotional drought. They leaned on community Lena as God Andy, spinning yarns of fabulous resilience. Elena video calling from Milan, Marco cooing in Italian. Sarah sent a quilt, stitched with Ohio wildflowers, a bridge across healed divides. Yet external gales tested, a documentary crew approached, hungry for their rags to redemption tale. But with it came scrutin-old bet audio remixed into clickbait, dredging assumptions about Riley's queerness. Am I just your straight-passing savior story? She challenged one dawn, Harper nursing at her breast, vulnerability raw. Jax knelt by the rocker, eyes earnest. No. You're my everything, labels be damned. If you want to explore, to claim more of you, I'm here. All in. His words unlocked floods, Riley's fluidity, long intuited but unnamed, spilling in therapy sessions they attended tandem. I'm bi, she claimed finally, the word a key turning in rusted locks. Jax's embrace was fierce. And I'm the luckiest bi ally alive. Their intimacy evolved conversations laced with curiosity, date nights to queer bars where she danced with women. His gaze proud, not possessive. Harper's first steps echoed in a home alive with authenticity. As autumn leaves turned, the center's anniversary gala Lumita black tie affair in a converted warehouse, chandeliers dripping light over diverse faces. Riley, in a tailored suit that hugged her post-baby curves, arm in arm with Jax in velvet, took the stage. We started with a cruel game. She began, voice steady, a millionaire's bet on a tomboy's truth. But what it exposed? Not assumptions, but us flawed, fierce, loving beyond labels. Applause thundered, Harper gurgling from Elena's arms, the night sealing their odyssey. Winter's grip loosened into a tentative spring, Harper's babbles filling the penthouse like birdsong. But Riley felt the stirrings of unrest, a creative itch beneath the domestic rhythm. I need more than pouring drinks and changing diapers, she confessed over breakfast, syrup-sticky fingers intertwined. Jax nodded. No defensiveness, just partnership. What does that look like? They brainstormed late into nights, a memoir, perhaps, her voice chronicling the tomboy's path from Ohio shadows to New York spotlights. Raw, real, no sugarcoating the bet, the hurt, the heat. Outlining chapters became their ritual, Harper asleep between them, words weaving pain into power. But as drafts flowed, a ghost resurfaced, Marcus Hale, Sarah's brother, now a producer's sniffing opportunity. He emailed, pitching a podcast tie-in, The Bet That Broke Us, a queer love story unraveled. Riley hesitated, scars twitching. Jax deferred. Your call. Love. We own the narrative now. They met in a sunlit cafe, Marcus's enthusiasm tempered by sibling debt, Sarah's influence. He admitted, urging authenticity over exploitation. The collaboration ignited, recording sessions in the center studio. Riley's gravel voice recounting that rainy night, Jax interjecting with wry asides, Harper's coups punctuating pauses. Listeners flooded in letters from bi folks feeling seen, straight allies confronting biases. But midway, backlash brewed, conservative outlets twisting episodes into agenda propaganda. Sponsors wobbling. A death threat scrawled on the center's door chilled them. Police lights flashing as they bundled Harper away. Fear coiled tight. Nights fractured by Jax's vigilance. Riley's resolve stealing. "We don't hide," she declared, doubling security, turning the threat into a teachable moment panels on online hate. Resilience workshops. Elena flew in, Marco in tow, fortifying their circle. Lena hosted a benefit drag show, proceeds armoring the center's future. Through it, their romance simmered passionate tequickies in the nursery's shadows. Slow dances in the kitchen. Harper's giggles their soundtrack. Summer swelled Harper's first birthday. A park picnic under blue skies. Balloons bobbing like dreams. Family converged, Sarah and her new partner. A soft engineer named Theo. Toasting with cider. Marcus filming candid joy. But joy crested into crisis when Jax collapsed mid-laughter chest tight. World spinning. Ambulance sirens wailed. ER fluorescence harsh as Riley clutched Harper. Elena's arm her lifeline. Tests revealed arrhythmia. Stress-fueled. A Harlan legacy of bottled emotions manifesting. Bedside vigils blurred days. Riley reading to him from her manuscript. Voice a lifeline. "You scared the hell out of me," she whispered when he woke. Monitors beeping steady. His hand found hers. Weak but warm. Worth it for this life. Recovery was grueling. Cardiac rehab. Therapy unpacking his father's ghost. Riley's unwavering presence massages after sessions. Midnight talks on vulnerability's edge. "You're not invincible," she'd say, kissing his temple. "But your mind's stronger for the cracks." Emerging. Jax channeled it. Executive health initiatives at the center. Destigmatizing men's mental fragility. Their bond. Battle-tested. Bloomed erotic and tender rehab walks turning to park benches where he'd pull her close. Murmurs of desire reigniting. "I want you," he'd growl. Homeward bound. Their lovemaking rediscovering rhythms. Gentle then fervent. Bodies mapping healed terrains. Fall brought harvest. The memoir's publication. Tomboy truths. Climbing charts. Launches packed with queer luminaries. Reviews lauded its humanity. Kirkus calling it a kinky, kinetic testament to love's spectrum. Royalties funded scholarships. Harper's college nest egg. But fame's glare intensified. Paparazzi staking O'Malley's. Invasive questions at playdates. Riley drew lines. Fierce mama bear. Our daughter's off limits. Yet a deeper revelation brewed. At a book tour stop in Chicago, Riley met Alex 30. Non-binary artist with ink-stained hands and a laugh like wind chimes. Facilitating a workshop. Sparks flew. Platonic but potent. Conversations delving into fluidity's nuances. Back home, she confided in Jax. Heart pounding. "It's not cheating, it's me." Exploring. His response. A grin. Laced with heat. "Go. Date. Come back and tell me everything." Trust's radical act. Their open dialogue a new chapter. Her coffee with Alex stretching to gallery nights. Jax cheering from afar. Their reunions electric with shared stories. Jealousy flickered. Quickly quenched by communication. It enriched them. Riley's bisexuality no longer a footnote, but a vibrant thread. Harper, toddling now, absorbed the love's expanse. Babbling mama to both and aunties alike. Christmas twinkled with expansion. Elena's pregnancy announcement. A family web tightening. But winter's chill heralded storm. A class action suit against the center. Alleging mismanagement spearheaded by a disgruntled ex-donor with Harlan ties. Dredging financials to expose lavish salaries. Headlines screamed, "Scam charity." As audits loomed, donors fleeing. Jax's health faltered under stress. Riley juggling signings and legal briefs. Harper's routines fraying. They fought back, transparent town halls. forensically clean books proving every cent's impact. The suit crumbled under scrutiny, the donor exposed for embezzlement. But scars lingered, trust eroded, exhaustion bone deep. In the aftermath, curled on the couch, Harper asleep upstairs, Riley broke. Is this sustainable? The winds. The wars, am I enough for it all? Jax pulled her into his lap, voice gravel with conviction. You're the core. We pivot. Together scale back. Refocus on the heart. Spring's renewal mirrored their resolve, trimming the center to core programs. Prioritizing sustainability. Romance rekindled in simplicity, a road trip to Ohio. Riley showing Harper her roots. Jax meeting the aunt who'd sheltered her teen heartbreaks. Under harvest moon, they made love in a childhood barn. Ghosts of Sarah fading to fond echoes. Their passion a bridge across times. As summer's heat peaked, Harper's second birthday dawned sticky and sweet. The backyard bash a riot of bubbles and barbecue. Riley chased her daughter through sprinklers. Laughter bubbling free. Jax manning the grill with Marco's tips. Elena's bump prominent under a sundress. Sarah and Theo arrived with pies from a queer bakery. Their presence a quiet normalization, old flames now allies, weaving the tapestry richer. But amid the joy, a letter arrived, an invitation to speak at a global LGBTQ+ summit in Berlin. Riley solo. A chance to amplify beyond U.S. borders. Excitement warred with logistics, leaving Jax with Harper. Post-health scare, but he insisted. Packing her bag with notes tucked in socks. Knock him dead. My Phoenix. The flight was meditation. Jet lag, a haze yielding to the conference's electric hum. Panels on intersectional by erasure. Riley's keynote drawing, standing ovations. I was misread as lesbian by a millionaire's bet. She shared. Voice carrying. But the truth. Love doesn't fit boxes, it explodes them. Offstage, she connected with activist, a trans elder from Cape Town. A pan youth from Seoul, their stories fueling her fire. Yet solitude stirred longings. Video calls with Jax's tired grin. Harper's pixelated waves. But also a fleeting encounter with Lena's European counterpart. A burlesque performer named Fritz, whose flirtatious workshop led to a dance floor whirl. Hands lingering. Pulse quickening. No betrayal, just exploration. Texted to Jax in real time. His reply a voice note thick with arousal. Details later. Love. Miss your wild. Returning. She spilled it over wine. Their reenactment a tangle of limbs and laughter. Trust's intimacy deepened. False foliage framed a milestone. Jax's full cardiac clearance. Celebrated with a hike in the Adirondacks. Harper strapped to his back. Riley leading with maps and mischief. Atop a peak. Wind whipping. He turned to her. Mary May again. Vows renewed. For the us we've become. Her yes echoed off pines. Their kiss salt tanged. Harper clapping chubby hands. Wedding planning infused whimsy. A courthouse do-over. Then backyard reception with Lena officiating in full drag. Vows laced with humor and heart. From cruel games to this grace. Jax pledged. Ring slipping on. Riley's retort. You bet on me once now. We bet on forever. Guests community mosaic danced till dawn. Harper conked out in Elena's arms. But paradise fractured when Elena miscarried. A call shattering their honeymoon haze in a Catskills cabin. They rushed back. Jax's sister a wraith of grief. Marco's stoicism cracking. Riley held spaced in tears. Walks by the river drawing from her own unspoken losses. A miscarriage pre-Harper they'd buried in busyness. It hollows you, she told Elena. But light seeps in. Slow. Jax supported silently. Their unity a model. Elena emerging to channel sorrow into art therapy at the center. Winter whispered expansions. Harper's preschool enrollment. A bilingual spot embracing diverse families. Her first day tear-streaked but triumphant. Riley's podcast evolved to a network, syndicating voices from Berlin allies. while Jax mentored young execs on ethical wealth. His TEDx talk, Bets and Redemption, going viral, reframing privilege as power shared. Yet drama ignited anew. A rival organization, flush with conservative funding, launched smear campaigns, Harlan's Folly, woke waste, billboards mocking the center, petitions to defund. Protests clashed outside, Riley shielding Harper from chance, Jax navigating legal labyrinths. The toll mounted, sleepless arguments, Riley snapping at a volunteer's misstep, Jax retreating to workaholic nights. Crisis peaked at a town hall turned Meleag's throne. Slurs hurled, Riley shoving a heckler, Jax pulling her back, blood from a split lip mixing with rain. Home, bandaging wounds. She shattered. I can't keep fighting shadows. For her. Harper's door creaked, tiny feet pattering in. They held her between. Stories of strength, soothing to sleep. Dawn brought clarity, a press conference. Jax and Riley united, announcing a merger with the rivals' moderate faction dialogue over division. Funds pooled for broader impact. The pivot stunned critics. Headlines shifting to unlikely alliance. Their leadership lauded. Internally, it healed, volunteers renewed. Programs innovating. Spring bloomed with Harper's potty victory dance, a family ritual of cheers and cake. Romance reignited in stolen moments, Jax surprising Riley with a tattoo session. Matching ink, a shared heartline. Fluid and fierce. Nights. They'd slip away to rooftops. City hum below. Making love under stars. Whispers of future, dreams another child. Perhaps. Or travels with Harper in tow. But a personal gale brewed, Riley's fertility checkup. Post-miscarriage echoes revealing challenges, hormones haywire. Options daunting. Adoption. IVF. She pondered aloud. Jax's hand steady. Whatever path. With you. Consultations wove hope and heartache. Their bond the constant. Intimacy a refuge exploring tantric touches. Vulnerability bared. Summer's solstice marked Harper's third birthday. A beach outing to Coney Island. Waves lapping joy. There, amid cotton candy and carousel spins, Sarah proposed collaboration, a youth exchange. Ohio kids visiting the center. Nostalgia tugged Riley. But growth propelled yes. With safeguards. Bridges built. As leaves turned, the center's gala shimmered, awards for impact. Speeches soaring. Riley, accepting for community service. Choked up. From a dive bar bet to this proof that love's truth rewrites endings. Jax's toast followed. Eyes locked, to Riley, who exposed not just me, but the best in us all. Autumn's palette deepened as the Ohio exchange launched. A bus of wide-eyed teens arriving at the center. Riley greeting with coffee and candor. Among them, a lanky 16-year-old named Jordan non-binary. With Riley's old fire-struck accord, their late-night talks echoing her teen turmoil. How'd you know it was real? Not just rebellion? Jordan asked. Riley smiled. Jax eavesdropping fondly. It hurts like hell, that's how you know. The week wove bonds. Culminations in a mural project. Colors clashing, then harmonizing. Mirroring lives. Back home. Fertility's path clarified. Adoption papers filed. Heart set on a sibling for Harper. Home studies probed, gently interviews revealing their mosaic family. Scars as strengths. Waiting games, anxiety nipped. Eased by routines, Harper's preschool plays, where she'd declare mommies and daddies. With inclusive flair, drawing laughs and lumps in throats. Winter holidays twinkled with tradition making, a tree trimming party. Lena's ornaments garish and glorious. Elena now Annie to a rainbow flag hosting cookie bakes. But joy jarred when Jax's annual checkup flagged anomaly scar tissue from the scare. Surgery looming. Minor. Docs assured. But Riley's grip tightened in pre-op. Whispering. Come back to us. You hear. Hours stretched eternal. Emerging with him groggy but grinning. Harper's crayon card his first sight. Recovery nested them close. Soup simmers. Movie marathons. Harper helping with bandages via stickers. Romance simmered soft baths drawn scented. Hands wandering slow. Rediscovering in quiet. You're my anchor, Jax murmured, her head on his chest. Heartbeat strong. Spring heralded news. A matcha 2-year-old boy from foster care. Biracial with curls and curiosity. Named Elias. Visits began tentative park picnics. Toy-strewn playdates Harper bossing with sibling zeal. Riley's heart cracking open. Jax, ever the planner. Baby-proofed with zeal. Their home expanding in love's logistics. But external winds howled. The Summit's documentary. Exposed truths. Premiered to acclaim, but controversy Berlin clips twisted in right-wing reels. Labeling Riley a man-hater for bi-explorations. Doxing followed, addresses leaked. Hate mail piling. A brick through O'Malley's window shattering glass and peace. Fear fortified them, security upgrades. Therapy for Harper's innocent questions, why mad people? Mama. Riley fielded with honesty scaled to age. Jax amplifying with center campaigns on digital safety. The doc's director, a fierce dyke named Carla, rallied support crowd-funded repairs. Star-studded screenings countering lies. Through Siege. Their open dynamic tested true, Riley's coffee with Alex evolving to dinners. Platonic sparks fizzling to friendship. Shared with Jax over debriefs that looped back to passion roleplay, nods to her tales. His trust to turn on. You're free. And that's sexy as hell. He'd growl. Their peaks explosive. Summer scorched with Elias's arrival court finalization, a blur of tears and tantrums. His tiny hand in Riley's as they drove home. Harper's coronation as Big Sis was comedic, toy-sharing wars yielding to cuddles. Bedtime stories tripling in voices. Sleepless nights bonded them deeper. Jax rocking Elias through colic. Riley nursing midnight philosophies. 2 kids. 2 truths ours to shape. Fall's equinox brought equilibrium. The center's expansion to a satellite in Ohio. Sarah co-directing. Full circle grace. Gala season peaked with awards Riley's MacArthur nod. Genius for advocacy. Jax's quiet pride beaming. Speeches intertwined. His on allyship's evolution. Hers on fluidity's power. Yet a clandestine thrill emerged. Anniversary getaway to Tuscany. Kids with Elena. Rekindling in vineyard villas. Wine loose. They danced naked under moons. Confessions flowing Jax's by curiosities. Long suppressed. Met with Riley's encouraging grin. Explore with me, she urged. Their experimentation tender. Boundaries blissfully blurred. Love's spectrum infinite. Winter wrapped them in wonder. Elias's first snow. Harper's sledding shrieks. Family photos capturing chaos and calm. But a call from Marcus. Podcast expansion to TV. Scripted series on their arc. Temptation tempted visibility's reach, but privacy's sanctity won. Our stories lived. Not sold. Riley decided. Jax concurring. Pivoting to advisory roles. Spring's thaw mirrored thawings. Harper's kindergarten jitters. Elias's words tumbling love you. Dada. Romance ritualized and date nights babysitters briefed. Outfits deliberate. Ending in hotel suites where they'd reclaim wildness. Bodies a language of lust and loyalty. As summer crested, the center's 5-year mark loomed. A festival of faces, thousands gathering. Stories shared. Riley and Jax keynote tandem. Harper and Elias waving from wings. Their union a living testament. Autumn wove golden threads as the festival unfolded. Stages alive with performances drag troops channeling Lena's legacy. Youth choirs harmonizing anthems of self. Riley, mic in hand, scanned the crowd. Jax beside. Kids at their feet in tiny vests. 5 years from a Bet's wreckage. She began. Voice carrying over cheers. We've built not walls, but worlds. Jax followed. Arm around her. And in you all. We see our truth reflected unbreakable. Unbound. The roar swelled. Confetti raining. Their family enveloped in hugs. Elias tugging skirts 4 up. Post-fest haze settled into routine's embrace. But ripples spread, the event's live stream crashing servers. Global donations surging. Whispers of Nobel considerations for their model. Humility tempered, hubris Riley deflecting with jokes. Jack's grounding in gratitude journals shared at dawn. Yet fame's underbelly nipped. A stalkerish fan emailing manifestos. Police involvement a grim necessity. Therapy unpacking violations echo. Winter's hush amplified intimacies. Holiday cards from exchange kids. Ohio visits with Sarah's clan. Blended feasts where Theo's engineering tales met Marco's recipes. Elias's first holiday recital off-key, jingle bells, melted hearts. Harper directing with flair. But joy jarred when Elena's second pregnancy hit complications. Bedrest binding her to New York. They rally Jack's shuttling meals. Riley tag-teaming playdates. Their village ethos incarnate. Spring bloomed with Elena's healthy boy. Nico. A chubby cherub joining the fray. Family photos now a sprawl. Fertility's wait ended abruptly, a newborn girl. Abandoned. Matched urgently Lila. With wide eyes and a cry like resolve. Emergency hearings. Then homecoming, for kids under 5. Chaos symphonic. Sleepless doubled. But love quadrupled Jack's mastering bottles one-handed. Riley corralling nap schedules. Harper and Elias crowning themselves bigs with bossy benevolence. Summer's swelter-tested metal, a heat wave stranding them indoors. Crafts and conflicts brewing. Romance squeezed into crack shower trysts. Whispered fantasies over laundry. We're a circus. Riley laughed one meltdown night. Elias teething. Lila fussing. Jax pulled her close amid din. Our beautiful big top. They hired help a nanny collective from the center. Queer parents sharing shifts. Easing the load. Fall's harvest yielded harvest. Lila's adoption sealed. A backyard party with bubbles and vows renewed impromptu. But drama detonatita former board member. Bitter over the merger. Leaked doctored financials. IRS audit looming. Stress spiked Jax's blood pressure. Riley's manuscript sequel stalled. Kids sensing tension and shortened tempers. They lawyered up. Audits proving pristine. The leak tracing to embezzlement culprit arrested. Vindication bittersweet. In fallout. They streamlined. Advisory boards for oversight. Focus sharpening on youth mentorships. Therapy couples sessions unpacked, where guardians now can't burn out. Jax admitted. Riley nodded. But we recharge together. Winter twinkled with resilience, a center holiday market. Stalls bursting crafts. Families forging joy. Harper's school play her as a brave knight, saving a dragon princess, drew tears. Themes uncannily theirs. Elias babbled philosophies. Lila's gummy smiles disarming all. Spring's renewal sparked reinvention, Riley's second book. Fluid fires. Delving bisexuality's blaze. Co-authored with Alex. Now a dear collaborator. Launches packed. Discussions electric. Jax moderating with pride. Their open chapter inspiring panels on ethical non-monogamy. Yet a personal pivot loomed, Jax's 40th. A milestone prompting reflection empire echoes fading. Legacy in lives touched. I want to teach. He confessed. Enrolling in education certs. Piloting classes at the Center on Financial Literacy for Queer Entrepreneurs. Riley cheered. Her own pivot to consulting workshops worldwide. Kids in tow for adventures. Summer's solstice circled back, Berlin return. Family edition. Harper sketching landmarks. Elias chasing pigeons. Lila in a carrier sling. The summit swelled. Riley's fireside chat with global voices. Jax facilitating youth tracks. Amid. A flirtation with Fritz reignited dinner. Dances. Jax's blessing via text. Enjoy the whirl. Home for the encore. Her return tales fueled a weekend of rediscovery. Boundaries blissfully porous. Fall deepened bonds. Ohio expansion thriving. Sarah's directorship a triumph. Joint events bridging Rust Belt to Metropolis. Gala season crowned with honors Riley's Human Rights Campaign Award. Jax is beside her. Speeches entwining, from one man's cruel game to a world's wide welcome. Winter's embrace warmed with futures. Harper's lost tooth. Elias's first sentences. Lila's roles. Nico's Gerglasa chorus of chaos. They dreamed a loud cross-country road trip. Perhaps. Or Europe sabbatical love's horizon endless. As winter yielded to spring's insistent green, the center's 10th anniversary dawned not 5. A decade's milestone. Time's slight blurring years. Harper, now 8, designed the logo of Phoenix entwined with a heart line. Her artist's eye keen. Elias, 6, scripted welcomes with wobbly letters. Lila, 4, bossed rehearsals with pint-sized command. Even toddler Nico toddled through. Elena beaming nearby. Riley surveyed the Venue transformed warehouse, pulsing with lights and legacies. Jax's hand in hers. Their rings worn to gold whispers. The gala was symphony, speeches from alumni Jordan, now a non-binary lawyer, crediting that first exchange. Sarah toasting bridges built. Riley and Jax closed. Voices braided. 10 years ago. A bet exposed a truth mine. His. Ours. Today. It's yours. Applause cascaded. Kids rushing stage for hugs. Family the finale. Post-glow. Life layered richer. Harper's soccer triumphs. Elias's piano plunks. Lila's dance recitals. Nico's babbles bridging languages. Romance ritualized monthly escapes. Kids with the collective. Rediscovering in anonymity. Dive bars echoing their origin. Bodies fluent in desire's dialects. Summer's road trip unfolded epic. RV rumbling cross-country. National parks framing campfires and confessions. Grand Canyon depths mirrored inner vastness. Riley sharing by evolutions. Jax exploring his fluidity with a fellow traveler's spark. Tales swapped under stars. Trust's tapestry textured. Fall's academic rhythms synced. Jax's classes booming. Students thriving. Riley's global gigs. Virtual when kids anchored. Ohio visits deepen grand opening of a second satellite. Community choirs singing anthems co-written by youth. Winter holidays haloed harmony. Multicultural feasts. Lena's annual extravaganza. Gifts wrapped in stories. But a quiet crisis crested Harper's schoolyard taunt. Your dads are weird. Stirring identity talks. They navigated with books and honesty. Her pride blooming. My family's the best kind rainbow reel. Spring's vitality vitalized visions. Lila's kindergarten leap. Elias's science fair win. Family therapy affirming growth. Romance roared in a milestone getaway 10th wedding anniversary in Tuscany Redux. Kids with Sarah. Vineyards vining memories. There, under olives. They renewed radically. Vows embracing fluidity. A pact for perpetual permission to explore. Love's core unshakable. Yet the arc's apex awaited. A White House invitation. Recognition for advocacy. Riley and Jax among honorees. Prep was pageant speeches polished. Kids suited. Nerves electric. The ceremony. Rose garden bloom. Words weighted. Riley's on misread truths turning to triumphs. Jax's on privileges pivot to power sharing. POTUS's handshake sealed. But backstage. Their embrace outshone. We did this, you and me. From dive bar to here. Summer closed the circle. A quiet return to O'Malley's. Now a center outpost. Riley pouring for old patrons. Jax bouncing Lila on knee. As sunset gilds the bar. Their eyes meet 38 and 43. Lines etching laughter. Hearts full. Millionaire thought the tomboy was something she wasn't. She toasts. Whiskey glinting. But the unbelievable truth. We were always everything. The door chimes. New faces entering stories waiting to unfold. Their legacy a living invitation. in each other's gaze. Kitsch and grace entwine. A romance eternal, from cruel game to meaningful flame. Love's light undimmed, illuminating paths untold.